Here is the rewritten version of the news article in English, strictly following your instructions, no numbering and no extra line breaks. Federal authorities have arrested a suspected member of the notorious MS-13 gang as part of an extensive crackdown on crime in Washington, D.C., which has resulted in over 700 arrests. The operation, launched earlier this month, is part of an aggressive federal initiative to target violent crime, illegal firearms, gang activity, and drug trafficking in the capital. Spearheaded by the Department of Justice and supported by multiple law enforcement agencies including the FBI, ATF, and Homeland Security, the crackdown has sparked political debate while garnering praise from supporters of tough-on-crime policies. The arrest of the alleged MS-13 member was highlighted by Attorney General Pam Bondi, who has led daily briefings on the progress of the operation. The individual, whose identity has not been disclosed, is believed to have been involved in gang-related activity and violent crimes within the district. MS-13, or Mara Salvatrucha, is an international criminal gang known for brutal violence, and their presence in American cities has been cited as a major concern by federal authorities. The apprehension of even a single suspected member has been touted as evidence of the operation's effectiveness. According to official updates, federal agents and local police working together have conducted hundreds of targeted raids, traffic stops, and undercover operations throughout the city. More than 86 illegal firearms have been seized, along with significant quantities of fentanyl, cocaine, and heroin. Officials reported that many of the individuals arrested have existing criminal records or outstanding warrants. Among the charges faced by the suspects are homicide, aggravated assault, firearms possession, drug trafficking, and robbery. On a single night, over 60 suspects were arrested in coordinated operations that included search warrants at suspected drug dens and gang safehouses. Officials say that the sweep was timed to disrupt a network of organized criminal activity and send a message that lawlessness would not be tolerated in the nation's capital. They also confirmed that multiple homeless encampments were dismantled during the raids, claiming that several were being used for illegal activity including drug distribution and human trafficking. Attorney General Bondi has emphasized that nearly half of the arrests have occurred in high-crime neighborhoods, reflecting what she described as a data-driven approach to law enforcement. She has repeatedly stressed that the goal is not to target communities indiscriminately, but rather to focus on the most dangerous elements threatening public safety. Federal officials have credited local law enforcement for their cooperation and knowledge of the city's crime hotspots. Despite the operation's scale and federal backing, the move has not been without controversy. Critics, including civil rights groups and some local leaders, argue that the crackdown is politically motivated and could lead to over-policing and erosion of civil liberties. They point out that crime in Washington, D.C., had actually been declining before the operation began. Some have also accused the federal government of using high-profile arrests and military-style enforcement tactics to project a narrative of chaos and justify federal overreach. The decision to deploy National Guard troops in support of the crackdown has added to the tension. While their presence has been limited to logistical and surveillance support, their visibility on city streets has sparked debate about the militarization of policing. President Trump, who authorized the use of federal forces under Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act, has defended the move, calling it necessary to take back our capital and restore order. White House spokespersons have repeatedly pointed to the arrest totals as proof of the operation's success. In the latest briefing, officials claimed that over 700 individuals have been taken into custody since the start of the operation, with many believed to be connected to organized crime or repeat offenders. They have also stated that more arrests are expected in the coming days, as intelligence gathered during the raids leads to further investigations. In addition to the arrest of the suspected MS-13 member, law enforcement has identified several individuals with connections to other street gangs operating in the region, including the Bloods, Crips, and 18th Street Gang. Officials say dismantling gang infrastructure is a top priority and that federal prosecutors are working to bring RICO charges where applicable to ensure maximum penalties. As part of the broader strategy, federal authorities have also begun working with community organizations and outreach programs aimed at preventing gang recruitment and supporting youth in affected neighborhoods. However, critics argue that these measures are being overshadowed by the highly visible and aggressive enforcement tactics that have dominated headlines. Residents of the city have expressed mixed feelings about the crackdown. Some say they feel safer with a stronger law enforcement presence, especially in neighborhoods that have long struggled with crime. Others, however, say the increased policing has led to fear, tension, and mistrust, particularly in communities of color. Several local activists have accused the administration of using Washington, D.C. as a political stage to showcase a national crime-fighting agenda ahead of upcoming elections. Attorney General Bondi has rejected those claims, insisting that the operation is purely about protecting the public and restoring law and order. She has vowed that the crackdown will continue until the streets are free from gangs, drugs, and illegal weapons. Meanwhile, federal law enforcement has reiterated that they are committed to due process and upholding constitutional rights during the course of their actions. The future of the operation remains uncertain, with some in the administration suggesting that federal oversight of D.C. policing could continue beyond the current 30-day authorization period. Legal analysts have warned that such an extension could raise constitutional questions, particularly regarding the balance of power between federal and local governance. Nonetheless, White House officials maintain that public safety remains the top priority and that extraordinary measures are justified in extraordinary times. As arrests continue and investigations expand, the D.C. crackdown is likely to remain a focal point of national discussion. The arrest of the suspected MS-13 gangster will undoubtedly be cited as a major achievement, but it also underscores the complex challenges of law enforcement in a city that sits at the intersection of politics, policy, and public safety.